Story: Abandoned Hospitals Chilling Real Patient Tapes. Have you ever stepped into a place that felt like it was holding its breath? Where the silence doesn't comfort you, it presses down on you like it's hiding something. That's exactly how it felt the first time I entered the old abandoned St. Mark's Hospital. The town around it had moved on years ago. New clinics had opened, modern buildings replaced crumbling ones, but St. Mark's still stood. Its walls cracked, windows broken, hallways coated with dust thick enough to remember every footprint. And yet, something about it felt alive. For years, people said the hospital wasn't just abandoned, it was waiting. Local kids dared each other to sneak inside. Thrill seekers filmed shaky videos for the internet. But most never made it past the lobby. They said it was too cold, too heavy, too wrong. But what I found inside was worse than anything I'd imagined. Because this wasn't just a place, it was a voice. And those voices came from the patient tapes. The night I decided to explore St. Mark's, the air was thick with rain. My flashlight beam cut through the mist as I stepped inside the main entrance. The smell hit me first. That damp, moldy stench of rotting wood mixed with something metallic, almost like rust or dried blood. The front desk was overturned, papers scattered across the floor like frozen snow. Wheelchairs stood abandoned in corners. A single gurney lay tilted in the hallway, its mattress torn open, stuffing spilling out like old wounds. I wasn't alone. Not really. Because the deeper I went, the more I felt it. A pressure in the air, like hundreds of eyes were watching from the shadows. And then I saw it. A storage closet door, locked with an old rusted chain. The sign above it read, "Records." I don't know what made me do it. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the feeling that the hospital wanted me there. But I broke that lock. And inside, stacked on shelves like forgotten coffins, were rows of dusty cardboard boxes. And in those boxes, dozens of cassette tapes, each labeled with a patient number, each one waiting. That was the night I brought them home. And that was the night the whispers began. The first tape started with a hiss of static. Then, faintly, a voice. Patient 142, female, admitted with complaints of hearing voices. Claims the voices come from the walls at night. The doctor's tone was clipped, professional, but the patient's reply, it shook me. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "They're not in my head. They're in here." She knocked on something. Maybe the bed frame, maybe the wall. And then silence. For almost 10 seconds, nothing but the hum of the recorder. And just as I leaned closer, thinking maybe it had ended, I heard it. A faint sound. Not the patient, not the doctor. Something else. Like a low, dragging whisper. Words I couldn't make out but filled with anger. The patient started crying. The doctor tried to calm her, but his voice shook too. And then the tape just clicked off. I sat frozen, because I knew that second voice was not supposed to be there. And when I played the recording back again, it was gone. Only the patient and doctor remained. Like the other voice had been meant only for me to hear. I couldn't stop myself. I loaded another tape. This one was worse. Patient 67, male, severe night terrors. Reports of being unable to move in his sleep. Claims he feels hands on his chest holding him down. At first I thought, sleep paralysis. That's common. That's explainable. But then his breathing grew frantic. The sound of him gasping filled the room as he shouted, "They're here! They're in the room with me right now!" The doctor tried to soothe him, but you could hear the panic rising. Furniture scraping. Something falling. And then, the patient screamed. Not just fear, pain, like something was tearing him apart. And the tape cut out. No explanation, no follow-up. Just a single, blood-curdling scream frozen forever on magnetic tape. I swear to you, when that scream played, every light in my house flickered. My speakers hissed with static, and for the briefest second, I thought I saw someone standing in the reflection of the window beside me, a tall figure, watching. But when I turned, nothing. The third tape was different, quieter, almost too calm. Patient 203, female. Records show she was admitted with minor injuries, but during her stay, she began reporting that the hospital itself was speaking to her. The patient's voice was faint, but steady. They want me to stay. They don't want anyone to leave. The walls, they hold us in. She paused, and then softly she whispered, "Doctor, do you hear it too?" And in that moment, you do hear it. A second voice right behind the doctor's, a whisper so faint you can barely tell if it's real. But when I slowed the tape down, filtered the audio, the words became clear. Never leave. Over and over. Never leave. Never leave. Never leave. My stomach dropped. Because these weren't just patient delusions. These were recordings of something alive inside that hospital. I tried to stop after that. I really did. But every night the tapes called to me, at first in dreams, then in waking hours. Whispers in my own house, in my own walls, sounding just like the ones from the recordings. The final tape I listened to wasn't even labeled, just a plain cassette tucked in the back of the box. I pressed play, at first only static, then faint footsteps, a door creaking open, and then my name, spoken in a soft, rasping whisper. Not the name of a patient, not the name of a doctor. My name. I froze. My blood turned to ice, because this was an abandoned hospital. These tapes were decades old, and yet somehow it knew me. The recording ended with the sound of heavy breathing, and then a single sentence. "You shouldn't have listened." The tape snapped off. My speakers went silent, and from that night on, I never slept the same. People always ask me if the tapes were real, if I still have them. The truth? I burned them. But some nights, when the house is quiet, when the wind presses against the walls, I swear I still hear them. The whispers, the screams, the voices begging not to be forgotten. And sometimes, I hear that last voice again, reminding me that I shouldn't have listened. But it's too late now. Because once you hear the voices of the abandoned hospital's patients, they never really stop.